Hi everybody, I hope this video finds you well. In today's video, we are going to introduce our course and go over the syllabus for our class. My name is Ben Mitchell, and I'll be your instructor for the fall 2020 term for Math 270, Differential Equations with Linear Algebra. Our class is a fully online asynchronous course. In this video, not only are we going to be going over the standard syllabus, but we'll also be discussing the general structure of our class. Let's first start with some core information. Like I said, my name is Ben Mitchell, and our class is Differential Equations with Linear Algebra, section 0981. The other really key sort of piece of information I want to begin with are your points of contact or ways of getting in touch with me if you have questions during the term. The first you'll notice is a list of office hours that will be held via Zoom on Tuesday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., and Wednesday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. These online office hours are going to occur each week at these times. These office hours are, of course, optional, but they're a great chance for you to hop on and have sort of a live discussion about the topics that we're covering in our class. When we get around to exam weeks, there might be additional online office hour times as well, but these two times, Tuesday 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Wednesday 2 to 3 p.m. are going to be every week on the dot. You guys will receive each morning on the day of one of these online office hours a little reminder email with the link to the Zoom meeting. The second sort of point of contact is if you're unable to make one of the online office hours, but you want to get in a hold of me or in touch during a time that's not near one of those times on Tuesday or Wednesday, you can always email me directly at bmitchell@elcamino.edu. The third sort of point of contact, which isn't listed at the top of the syllabus here, but we'll discuss again sort of as we go through our syllabus, is Canvas discussion boards. For each of the sort of major assignments that we have in our class, as well as all the different sort of sections of suggested exercises and practice problems, there will always be Canvas discussion boards that you can post on, answer each other's questions, and I'll hop on as well and answer some of the questions as well. So that gives you guys three different ways of sort of reaching out, getting assistance when you need it, or just asking questions if they come up. Online office hours, Tuesday and Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Tuesday, 2 to 3 p.m. on Wednesday. Direct email at bmitchell@elcamino.edu, or the discussion boards on Canvas that we'll talk about again a little bit later on. All right, now that we have those sort of core pieces of information out of the way, let's talk a little bit about our class. As a lot of you probably know, differential equations and linear algebra is sort of the finale or culmination of the math courses here at El Camino College. We're going to be studying two major branches of sort of advanced mathematics, differential equations and linear algebra. Our course structure is sort of interesting. We're going to spend about 4 weeks at the beginning of our class dealing almost exclusively with differential equations. Then we'll have about 8 weeks in the middle of our class to focus on linear algebra. And then we'll end our class with about 4 weeks of returning back to differential equations with the mechanisms that we'll have developed inside of the linear algebra section. So this is a really fantastic, super interesting class. It has a lot of applications into many STEM fields, computer science, physics, engineering, etc. But it also is a great chance for some of you guys to really experience some theoretical and pure mathematics. Linear algebra is a great gateway into sort of really seeing what abstract mathematics looks like. So there's some very great applied parts of this course in differential equations. There's some really fascinating theoretical parts in linear algebra, and altogether this really gives you guys a great finale and send-off of the math classes here at El Camino. So let's talk a little bit about what you need for this class. We do have a required textbook listed here. You need Differential Equations in Linear Algebra, the 4th edition by Good and Annan. It's very important that you get the 4th edition of this textbook because, as you guys probably know, every time they change editions of the textbook, they change the sort of problem sets and the problem orders and things. And I have gone through and sort of hand-picked particular exercises from the 4th edition of the textbook. So to make sure you're doing sort of the right exercises, you definitely need the 4th edition. It doesn't really matter if you have a physical copy of this book or if you manage to find an ebook or a PDF or whatever. You just need the 4th edition of Differential Equations in Linear Algebra. You don't need any sort of online access, so if you're looking at a more expensive version of the textbook that comes with like an access code for online features, you don't need any of that. So just find the sort of easiest, maybe cheapest version of Differential Equations in Linear Algebra, 4th edition by Good and Annan, and you'll be all set. I do really recommend also, as we go through this class, not just using this textbook for practice problems, but also in terms of its actual material that it talks about in each section. It's a pretty solid textbook. This textbook in particular is the one I picked because it really straddles the boundary right between sort of similar writing structure to like your calculus textbooks that you probably use, like a Stewart in like 190, 191, or 220, to more advanced textbooks that you would see if you were in upper division mathematics. So it's a great sort of introductory into how to read a more advanced textbook, but it's still written in a way that I think is pretty manageable. It does a good job laying out a lot of its proofs and things like that. So I highly recommend not just using it as a source of practice problems, but also reading a lot of the sections. Very beneficial and pretty decently well written, especially as we're sort of moving towards more advanced topics. In terms of other things you need, that's pretty much it. You really just need this Differential Equations in Linear Algebra 4th edition by Good and Annan. A calculator is permitted on the exams, but it's not required. We're not going to be doing a lot of arithmetic computations. We will be doing a decent amount of computational problems, especially when solving differential equations, but it's not like they're going to involve a lot of arithmetic. If you want to make use of a calculator, you can, but it's not required for our class. All right, before we get into talking about some of the course objectives and grading and everything, let's talk about something else that we're going to be making a lot of use of for our class. As I mentioned at the beginning, our class is fully online, so the sort of hub for all the documents and pretty much all the information you need for our class is on Canvas. So let's take a look at our Canvas page here. So this is the home page of our Canvas site for our Math 270-0981 section. If you go onto your My ECC, you should see home pages for all of your courses. And if you click on ours, you can get to this. You'll notice that the home page for our class is, we should just make sure we're actually on the home page. So if we show the homepage, yep, there you go. You'll notice that it's actually set to the syllabus. So if you ever need to reference any of the syllabus stuff, you can find a PDF version of the syllabus in the file section, but it's also our homepage in case you ever need to reference anything. Plus, it also has the benefit of showing you the office hour times right on the front and my email in case you forget any of those things. So what else are we going to be making use of on Canvas? Well, we'll sort of go through on order here. First is the announcement section. You'll see that there's already a couple of announcements there. One of them was just laying out some of the sort of basic information about our course. And then the second announcement there, you'll see the Math 270 Fall 2020 Meet and Greet. That's on this upcoming Monday, August 24th, a chance for you guys to hop on, introduce yourselves, ask any questions you might have after watching this syllabus video. These announcements, of course, as their name would imply, is going to be the place where I put any sort of major announcements, letting you know about upcoming due dates for quizzes or upcoming exams, things like that. This will also be the place where I put your weekly schedule. Generally, every Sunday night or Monday morning, I'll post a schedule for what you should try to accomplish in the upcoming week, and you can find that schedule here in the announcement section. The second thing that we'll be making use of on Canvas is the assignments section. You'll see that there's already a little assignment there. It's a test assignment. All of these sort of assignments, quizzes, exams, everything here in our class, you'll be submitting via Canvas. So you'll be submitting them via this assignments tab. If you notice, though, when you click on one of the assignments, the actual problems or questions are not in the assignment section. It'll always be just directions that say, look under the file section, follow the problems or the document there, and then really the assignments tab is only used for actually submitting the solutions that you have here. So let's go ahead and take a look at that file section. So I know we're going a little bit out of order, but let's go to that file section. The file section is probably the tab that you're going to be making the most use of. It is going to be where we have electronic copies of every document you might need for the class. So you'll notice that some of these folders here, you've got things like quiz and exam solutions. So once we start taking quizzes and exams, the solutions to those will be posted here. Review guides for the exams, suggested exercises. As you'll see once we get started, some of those suggested exercises are ones I've written. Some are from your textbook. You can find a PDF version of the syllabus there. Your take-home exams, your take-home quizzes, the test assignment, everything is here. You'll also notice that there's a folder near the top there that says Office Hour Notes. That's where if you're unable to attend one of those online office hours, or if you have to leave early or something and you want to see what we discussed, I'll always save all the sort of whiteboards and notes that we go over in one of those online office hours and post them here on Canvas. So even if you're not able to attend those meeting times, you can still see what we went over, what problems were discussed, what information we sort of went through. Let's take a look, though, at the test assignment real quick. So if you open up that folder, you'll see that there's just a PDF document. This is sort of simulating what the quizzes and stuff will look like. All the sort of questions are on there. So in this case, this test assignment is basically just there to make sure you're comfortable using a software or an app to scan or put your pages into a single PDF format. This one is literally just like writing your name, talking about what your field of interest or study is, talking a little bit about your sort of math background, and also how comfortable you are with proofs and logic. So again, this is not a graded assignment, but it's just making sure that you can feel comfortable submitting things as a single PDF through Canvas. So keep in mind, again, our structure here is that for quizzes, exams, everything, you'll find the actual questions in the file section, and then you'll submit via the assignments tab. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the other things that we have here. We also have a discussion section for Canvas. Right now, there's only one discussion up there about general course questions. But once we get started, there'll always be a discussion board for each quiz, each review guide, each set of suggested exercises, anything that we are sort of going through in our course. There'll be a specific discussion board for you to use there. I highly recommend making use of the discussions because they're really the thing that helps us sort of simulate parts of our in-person learning. If we were in class and I was going through material or we were discussing something, you guys would naturally be asking questions. And the great thing about asking questions in person is that if you ask a question, all of your classmates get to hear that question and they get to hear the answer or the response. These discussion boards allow us to sort of simulate that. If you post a question there and one of your classmates answers it or I answer it, not only do you benefit from the response, but everybody can sort of see that response and benefit from the discussion. So I highly recommend making as much use of the discussion boards as possible. Now, sometimes there might be a question that you're finding difficult to phrase in writing, so you can always hop on the online office hours and ask it in person if you prefer. Or there might be a question that you find is too personal, private, or whatever that you want to ask directly. You can always send those via email. But if you have sort of a general content question, I highly recommend trying out the discussion boards so that your classmates can help out. They can also benefit from the overall sort of discussion back and forth. Okay. We also have a tab for grades, so we'll make use of the gradebook feature here to sort of keep track of all of your guys' grades and things like that. So as we're going through the course, you can always track how you're doing overall, how you did on each assessment, and what your overall grade is via the grade feature here. That pretty much is all the pieces that we'll be using. Of course, if you click on the syllabus page, you'll just go back to our home page, which is our course syllabus. Those are pretty much all the pages or tabs that we're going to be using on Canvas. So again, we'll make use of the announcements, the assignments, discussions, grades, and the files and syllabus tabs of Canvas. Okay, let's go back to our syllabus and talk a little bit more about the structure of our course, also the grading policies, what sort of assignments you should be expecting, etc. All right, so if we're following our syllabus here, there's a giant pile of course objectives. I think 270 has probably the most sort of course objectives because, again, we're really looking at two completely separate branches of mathematics, differential equations, and linear algebra in a single course. So there's a tremendous amount of course objectives here. Again, I'm not going to go through and discuss them right now. I highly recommend, though, midway through the course or towards the end of our course, go through and read through these, and there's always a sense of satisfaction going through and being like, wow, I do really now, after taking this course, know how to do all these different things. So it's a good sort of checklist at the end to make yourself feel like you've really gained something from our course here. So same thing with the student learning outcomes. We won't discuss those right now, but we'll go ahead and talk about grading policies and talk about each of the types of assignments you'll have here. So we use a weighted percentage approach to determining your grades. You guys have sort of 4 categories of assignments. There'll be what we call take-home quizzes, midterms, take-home exams, and the final. Now, because we're a fully online course, every assignment is technically a take-home assignment, but I'm giving these sort of the names based on if we were in person, what it would sort of be, what it would sort of feel like, or how what the assignment would resemble. So you've got 4 take-home quizzes during the term that'll make up 20% of your grade, 3 midterms that are 30%, 3 take-home exams which are 30%, and a comprehensive or cumulative final which is 20%. We use a standard grading scale. If your ending percentage is between 90 to 100%, A, 80 to 89 B, 70 to 79 C, 60 to 69 D, 59% below F. Like I said, on Canvas, you'll be able to see, even using these weighted percentages, what your current course grade is. So that's a good, nice feature of Canvas, is that it does the weighted percentage for you, so you can always track how you're doing overall in our class. Let's talk about what each of these assignments sort of entails. So first of all, quizzes. There are 4 quizzes during the term. When working on quizzes, if you want, you may work in a group of up to 3 people. That's your option. You don't have to work in a group. If you would prefer to work individually, that's fine. If you prefer to work with just one other person, that's fine as well. Also, the groups are flexible. If you work on an assignment with some people the first time and you find that that doesn't really work for you later on, or maybe your schedules don't align later on, you can stop working with those people later on in the term. Maybe at the beginning of the term, you work by yourself, but by the middle of the term, you've gotten to know some of the other people and you want to start working with them. You're welcome to do so. The groups are completely flexible. All you need to do is that if you do work as a group, you must submit one set of answers. Everybody's going to receive the same grade, and you just have to make sure you indicate who you worked with so I know who to give credit to. The quizzes are going to be due every 4 weeks on the Tuesdays. So on the Tuesdays of weeks 4, 8, 12, and 16 by 11:59 p.m. So on those Tuesdays of weeks 4, 8, 12, and 16, 11:59 p.m., you'll have those quizzes due. The quizzes will be submitted electronically and must be submitted as a single PDF file. So again, all submissions are going to go through Canvas, and Canvas is set up in a way where the only type of file it's going to accept is a PDF file. So you're going to have to make sure you're comfortable taking all of your work, combining it into a single PDF document. If you haven't had a lot of practice doing that, there is on Canvas a little document running you through how to do electronic submissions, talks about some free apps that you can use for scanning documents and putting them as a single PDF. I highly recommend looking through that. And then, of course, also the test assignment is there for you to practice actually putting things into a single PDF format and submitting it through Canvas. So what are the point of our quizzes? Well, quizzes are basically used as check-ins for the sort of basic skills that we're doing in our course. So they're mostly computational in nature, and they're just really checking off that you're keeping up with the major things we're covering in each portion of our course. The second sort of major thing here we have is midterms. The midterms will be held on the Thursdays of weeks 4, 8, and 12. So notice that on the Tuesday of each of those weeks, you have a quiz due, and then a couple days later, you'll have the midterm over those materials there. Midterms are made available at 9 a.m. and due by 5 p.m. the same day, so you have about an 8-hour window to complete your midterms. You're going to be allowed access to your notes for your midterms. However, you won't be allowed to discuss the midterms or work with anyone else on the midterms. Midterms are going to be submitted just like quizzes. You'll be submitting them as a single PDF document through Canvas. If one of the midterms doesn't go well, or if you're unable to take one of the midterms because of an emergency, no makeup exams will be given, but your final exam can replace one midterm score if the final exam is higher. So if one of the midterms doesn't go as well as you're hoping, or if you're unfortunately unable to take one of the midterms, then your final exam can replace either that low midterm score or that missing midterm score. Midterms are really there to assess the major skills or concepts in each section of our class. Midterms are going to have a mixture of computational problems, sort of similar to the quizzes, as well as some theoretical problems. The third sort of type of assignment we have are the take-home exams. So following each midterm over the same material as that midterm, there will be a take-home exam portion. For those take-home exams, you'll have about a week, maybe 10 days to complete each one. They're going to be due by 11:59 p.m. You can see a theme here. Everything's due by 11:59 p.m. on the day that it's due, except for those exams that have a scheduled sort of window. You can discuss the take-home exams with each other. There'll be a discussion board for you to ask questions about them, but you all need to submit your own work. So unlike the quizzes where you can discuss and submit together, the take-home exams you can discuss, but you have to submit individually. Take-home exams will be submitted just like the quizzes and the midterms, so they'll be submitted as a single PDF file through Canvas. Take-home exams there are very, very theoretical. They basically allow you to sort of explore the very sort of conceptual parts of each section of our course. So you can sort of think about quizzes as being almost exclusively computational, midterms as being a mixture, and these take-home exams as being the sort of most theoretical. Finally, the last component will be a comprehensive or cumulative final exam. Final exam will occur on our last day of class, which is way down the line at Thursday, December 10th. The final exam, very similar to the midterms, just a little bit longer and covers more material. It will be available at 9 a.m. and you will have all the way until 9 p.m. to finish it, so you have about a 12-hour window for that final exam. Final exam, just like the midterms, you're going to be allowed access to your notes. You won't be allowed to discuss the final exam with any other students, and you'll be submitting it through Canvas as a single PDF document. The final exam really tries to go back through and touch on all the most important aspects of the entire class. All right, so just to summarize there, we've got 4 sort of types of assignments, 4 take-home quizzes, 3 midterms, 3 take-home exams, and 1 comprehensive or cumulative final. For all of these, even though some of the assignments are a little bit different, they're all submitted via Canvas as single PDF formats. All right, let's go ahead then and talk about some general requirements, the structure of our class, and also the important dates for our class. So, first of all, lecture material. As we've sort of been discussing, you're going to have a textbook, you're going to have exercises and things posted to Canvas, review guides, etc. But where does the sort of lecture material come from? If we were meeting in person, obviously this is what we would be doing during the majority of class. Well, for us, like I said, it's an asynchronous class, so all the lecture materials will be presented through videos posted on YouTube. All the videos necessary for your class will be found on a playlist titled Math 270 Fall 2020. It'll start with this syllabus video that we're currently sort of, I guess, very meta that we're currently doing right now. And then I'll update the class regularly about what videos have been posted, and you'll find a schedule for what videos you should be watching each week in the announcements section of Canvas. Associated with these sort of lecture videos, of course, are the suggested exercises, some from the textbook, some that I've written, and also textbook sections. Generally speaking, the names of the videos correspond to the sections that they go with the textbook. So you'll see at the start, we'll see things like a video for section 1.1 or a video for 1.2, etc. So you know exactly how to match up my lecture videos with your textbook. Obviously, the lecture videos are a relatively passive form of learning. You can certainly follow along. In the description of each video, there is a link to a blank document, is the document that I'm working on during that lecture video, as well as an annotated version where you can see everything that's written out by the end of it. Some people do like to follow along and either print out or have the blank document in front of them and fill it out as the lecture video is going. Either way, though, the lecture videos are relatively passive. It's mostly a chance for you guys to take in the information. That's why it's so important to try as many of the suggested exercises as possible, so you have that active component of your learning where you're actually getting to wrestle with some of the concepts there. Second sort of thing here, as I mentioned, all the documents for the class will be found on our Canvas site. This includes the suggested exercises, the quizzes, the exam documents, the reviews for the exam documents, any other supplemental materials. Also, remember, Canvas is where you can keep track of your grades, and also where the announcements for our class, the schedules for our class can all be found. So very, very important to sort of regularly check in on the Canvas site and see what's going on there. Third sort of bullet here about the general requirements. Remember, all the assignments are going to be submitted electronically. Make sure you read through the electronic submission guideline and you're comfortable with that. And you do that test assignment to make sure that you understand how to do that uploading through Canvas there. Right here, just a quick summary again of the 3 contact points we have for our class. Remember, we are completely online, but I really want to make sure you guys have as many opportunities to ask questions as possible. The fun aspect of teaching is going back and forth with you guys about things. We don't get to do that as easily in the online format, but we can try to have it done in as many different ways as possible. So remember, there will be online office hours each week. Those times are at the top of our syllabus. You'll receive that reminder email with the link each morning of those days. Remember, we might also have some additional ones when we get nearer the exams. There's also those Canvas discussion boards for each set of suggested exercises, quizzes, etc. So if you have any questions about those, feel free to post on there. I hope that you guys will take some time to answer each other's questions, but I will also hop on there and answer questions as well. And then remember, I'm always also directly available through email at bmitchell@elcamino.edu. Couple important dates, of course. The last day to drop the course without notation and for a full refund is Sunday, September 6th. That is the Sunday after week 2, so you have 2 weeks to sort of make sure that this course is comfortable for you. If you don't like the sort of fully online format, then you can drop by that Sunday, September 6th deadline, and you'll have no notation that you were in the class, and you'll receive a full refund. Otherwise, the second important date, way down, Friday, November 13th, which is the Friday after week 12. That's the day to withdraw and receive a W. you if you're unhappy of sort of where your grade is at that point. The good thing for your class is that by the Friday, November 13th deadline, you will have taken all 3 of your midterms, so you will have a pretty good sense of where you stand in our class. Finally, do keep in mind that since we're totally online, all the announcements are going to come out electronically. So do make sure to check your El Camino email on a regular basis, as well as our Canvas page. Also, I just do want to let you guys know, I generally try to sort of double send all the announcements. I'll try to send the announcements always through Canvas and also separately through email. That just makes sure that, even if you happen to miss it on one platform or through one medium, you'll definitely get the announcement through the other. So a lot of times you'll see when I post an announcement on Canvas, you'll also get an email that says the exact same information. So I know that's sometimes a little repetitive, but it just guarantees that nobody has the unfortunate thing of missing an important announcement. I also generally try to remind you guys about any sort of upcoming deadlines for quizzes or submissions, as well as any sort of upcoming exams. All right, let's get to I believe the last page of the syllabus here. Yep. Some cornerstones to success. The first one, this should be pretty clear, but again, keeping up with the material is super important in an online asynchronous course. There's a lot of material because there's a lot of lecture videos, things to read in the textbook, and exercises to try. The benefit of that, of course, is that means that you have a lot of opportunities to see the material presented in a lot of different ways, to try the material in different situations and under different applications, and just get a lot of practice. The downside, of course, is that means that if you let it all pile up, it can be pretty overwhelming. So try to make sure you follow the schedules as closely as possible. You can always, reread the textbook, rewatch the lecture videos. That's the benefit of lecture videos in class. You would see the lecture once, and then you just have to go to your notes. But if you ever find a section difficult, always feel free to just keep rewatching that video, going back over the examples in that particular section. Make sure to also read the textbook and try as many of the associated exercises as possible. If you ever get stuck on an exercise, always feel free to email me about it or post on Canvas. You don't want to waste a bunch of time getting stuck on a single problem, but you want to try as many as possible. Second one, you guys are advanced math students at this point, so you know how important this is, but I want to reiterate it. Take good notes. Remember, for every assignment here, because we're fully online, you're going to have access to your notes. So it doesn't matter if it's for quizzes, midterms, the take-home exams, the final, whatever. You're always going to have access to your notes. So the better organized your notes are, and the more useful the notes are to you, meaning written in your style or however you like to annotate your notes, the easier everything is going to be. So definitely give yourself some time, not just to take notes, but also to sort of organize and annotate the notes, right? You want to make sure that you translate the information into a form or into a style that helps you. Also, of course, studying adequately before the exams. The exams have a wider window than you would probably have if you were in person, right? We're used to taking exams that are only an hour or two in person, but you're getting 8 hours in this class to take exams. But you still want to make sure you study adequately before the exams, because if when you took those 2-hour exams beforehand, you put a lot of time into studying beforehand. You want to do the same thing, even though you have a wider window in this course. We have review guides for the major exams, so you want to make sure you work through those. And if you ever get stuck on anything there, those are great things to come on for online office hours or post on the discussion boards. And then, of course, making use of the resources. We've got office hours, we've got discussion boards, the textbook, and then even though I know it's a more challenging resource to make use of in our current online setting, but you have each other in this class, right? That's really why I keep pushing these discussion boards. Is if we were meeting in person, you guys would have plenty of opportunities to sort of discuss and talk amongst each other. A lot of you have probably taken classes with each other because you're at the 270 level here. You've taken a lot of math courses. So definitely feel free to reach out to each other, and hopefully the discussion boards give you a platform for doing that. Academic honesty here, like I said, for some of the things like midterms, the take-home exams, the final exam, you can't discuss some of those with anybody, and the take-home exams you can't discuss with anybody outside of our class. So if there's any evidence of that, those can result in failing grades on those assignments. So do try to be very honest with your work that you do in this class. And then, of course, the students with special needs and ADA statement, the thing I really want to say there is that this course, like I said, is sort of a finale of math courses for you guys. So I think it's an incredibly beneficial course no matter what sort of route you're headed in STEM. It is an introduction into more abstract or pure mathematics, but it also has a tremendous amount of applications into the different STEM fields, computer science, engineering, physics, chemistry, everything. So I really think that this is a super beneficial class. It's one of my favorite to teach overall, and so I want to make sure that you guys all get as much as you possibly can from this course. I know that the online format is sort of new and challenging for us right now, but of course, if there's anything that you guys sort of would like to see adapted, or you need extra information about, or you just would like to see in our class, always feel free to let me know, and I'll always try to make sure to accommodate you guys. We want everybody to gain as much as they possibly can from this course. This basically wraps up our discussion of our syllabus. In our next video, which will be your first sort of content video, there'll be some reviews of earlier sort of calculus information and calculus techniques, as well as a discussion about proofs and some mathematical logic. So you'll start to see those following up on your playlist right after this syllabus video.